Hi guys! In today's video, we're going to talk about organizational objectives, and we're going to start off with a few questions to help us think about the topic even before we get to the theory. What are objectives? What do you think? How can we define them? Why do we need to set objectives? Or maybe why not? Do we need them? What is the purpose of objectives? And the third question that you can reflect on is, how can setting objectives help a business? So what would be the purpose of having those for any organization? Now you can have a little time to think about these questions before we actually dig in, because a lot of these answers you might already know, and the theory or what we're going to talk about today is just connecting the things that you already know, the commonsensical sort of things, with the theory that we have in business management. A good exercise is trying to set an objective for yourself. For example, an objective for today, for this week, for this month, or even this year. What would this objective look like? What would be the effect of setting this objective for yourself? Why might it be a good idea to set an objective for yourself? And then maybe what would be the next step following after you set an objective for yourself? I don't know if you guys know Alice in Wonderland, if you've seen either the animated movie or the film version. But there is this scene where basically she gets on this crossroad and she's lost in this imaginary world, and she meets the cat and she asks a question, and they are having this short dialogue. Alice is asking, which road should I take? And the cat is answering, well, where do you want to go? And Alice says, I don't know. Then it doesn't matter which road you take. And this is similar with the objectives. If you do not set an objective for yourself, an aim, a goal, where you want to go or what you want to reach, then it really doesn't matter which path you take, because in the end you're gonna get somewhere, and since you haven't set where you want to get, then it doesn't matter. So in this sense, it may be a good idea for you, and it's an exercise that I highly recommend, to set some life goals for yourself in general. It doesn't have to be just in the nearest future, but also think about like your whole life even. How do you want your life to look like? What is it that you want to achieve? And these might be some big questions for people your age. I know it might be hard, but if you try to give it like 5-10 minutes of your time, even longer, I suggest you work on it even longer, then this might really pay off. And it's the same with businesses. If I'm going to set an objective and really think about it, then it will basically guide me, the objective itself is going to guide me on what are the strategies, what are the actions that a business should take in order to achieve that goal. So this is just a very quick introduction on the topic of objectives. And now let's dig in. What are the different terms that we need to learn for business management in IB? We're going to learn what are mission and vision statements. Then we're going to evaluate some aims, objectives, strategies, and tactics. What are those? What are the relationships? In general, the topic of the chapter should evaluate the need of organizations to have objectives and to change them in order to innovate or respond to changes in the internal and external environments. And later we're going to connect the whole topic to ethics, and we're going to define what is corporate social responsibility and why do organizations set them up and what are their impacts. So if we're going to have a look at some kind of hierarchy of objectives, then this is what it would look like. You start with a vision of where you want to go. Then you have a mission. Then you break it down into corporate objectives, which would be some already more specific objectives for the corporation. And you divide it up into divisions, departments, and then individual targets. So we have a hierarchy of objectives, and as we go down, we're basically going from very strategic objectives to already operational objectives. So operational means we're basically going to deal with them on a daily basis. At the same time, the objectives at the top are going to be very general. They're going to be almost vague. And as we go down and we break it up into those departmental or individual targets, we're going to see they're very detailed, very kind of measurable. So what determines the purpose of a specific business? We know that in general, the purpose of business activity is to combine factors of production. That's what we learned in the first unit, first chapter. We know that in general, the purpose of business activity is to produce products. And those products are supposed to satisfy people's needs and wants. So, if we're talking about a specific business, what determines its purpose? Each business has its own special purpose. And we are showing it to the world or communicating this special purpose to the world using our general or the more general and strategic objectives. So in this case, the mission and the vision. So a mission statement is telling you what are the core aims of the business, and it kind of answers the question who we are and what we do, for whom we do it, and what is the benefit for those people. So what need are we basically solving? A mission statement is going to be phrased in a way to motivate employees and to stimulate interest by outside groups. And it's going to tell us what is the central purpose of a business's existence, written in a short paragraph. A vision statement, on the other hand, is a statement of what the organization would like to achieve or accomplish in the long-term future. And as you can see, both of these are not concerned with specific or quantifiable goals. They're meant to be quite general. And for me, a very useful distinction is that the vision statement is telling you what I would like to achieve someday. Someday, maybe, in 100 years, far away in the future, I would like this. The mission statement is telling you what the business is trying to do every day. So what is its kind of everyday activity about? Here I have two statements, and we can guess whether this particular statement is a mission or a vision statement. So the first one, our is a world where everyone is connected. And the second one is Nokia exists to connect people with each other and the information that is important to them with easy to use and innovative products. Nokia aims to provide equipment, solutions, and services for consumers, network operators, and corporations. So what would be the vision? Sort of the someday long-term future. What would be the mission? So the first statement is going to be the vision. It's something that we would like to achieve in the future, but it's not true at the moment that we have a world where everyone is connected. And when it comes to the mission statement, it's something that, does this answer the question of what the business does every day? Nokia exists to connect people with each other, so yes. And we are doing it using easy to use and innovative products. Okay, good. So here it's quite obvious. Let's have a look at the next example. Minnesota Health Department in the USA. To protect, maintain, and improve the health of all residents. Keeping all residents healthy. What is this thing that the business organization is doing every day? Are they keeping all the residents healthy every day? I don't think so. That's quite unrealistic, right? So this is something that we might want to do in the future. But what would be the thing that we want to do every day? Every day, they're trying to protect, maintain, and they're trying to improve the health of all residents. So in this case, it's kind of switched around. Mission statement is this one, and the vision statement is the second one. Last example, McDonald's restaurants, where the world buys more McDonald's than any other fast food. McDonald's aims to be the world's best quick service restaurant experience. Being the best means providing outstanding quality, service, cleanliness, and value so that we make every customer and every restaurant smile. Okay, so in this case, the second one is going to be the mission, and the first one is going to be the vision. The mission statement is telling us what they're doing every day, what they're trying to achieve. So as you can see, both of these statements are quite vague. They don't have any ways to measure, and they exist in order to tell people what is it that the organization is doing, to inform them, and in a way even motivate workers. So from the characteristics, we can also derive the advantages and disadvantages of even having mission and vision statements. So in an exam, there might be a question asking, talk about the role of vision statements and mission statements for this particular company. So you might be, mentioning some of these advantages and disadvantages and linking them to the case study that you read in order to get the full points. So some advantages that you can mention is that the mission and vision statements both inform groups from outside the business about what the business does and aims for. It helps motivate employees, as the employees will then be associated with some positive qualities and they will like that. It will be motivational for them. The statements also help to guide and direct individual employee behavior at work. So sometimes if unsure how to behave in certain situations, the idea is that they can read the two statements and kind of feel how they should react or how they should behave. And the last one, it helps to establish the business in the eyes of other groups and inform what the business is about. Very often, however, this might feel to the other stakeholder groups that this is kind of a manipulation, as we're trying to make the business or organization look good, feel good, but in fact it doesn't have to be that way. In general, the mission and vision statements are written very positively, even if the business might not be completely, ethical or positive business. Very often, if you're writing it in a very general and vague way, and if you're lacking specific detail, which you're supposed to be, very often if they are too general, it is possible to have very similar mission statements and vision statements for two completely different businesses. And since they are so general and vague, it is virtually impossible to analyze or disagree with. So they have a purpose, but they also have their limitations. And it's important to understand, however, that before we break down, into the different more specific corporate objectives, divisional objectives, and so on, we need to start with the vision, what we would like to achieve, and then maybe define the mission, sort of defining the core values which our business would like to maybe follow in our everyday lives. And only then, once we have this general picture, can we break it down into more specific objectives. I suggest that you research the vision and mission statements of different businesses to just see some more examples of what the mission and vision statements might look like, to get yourself familiar with some of them, to see some of the advantages and disadvantages that we've talked about, and link it straight away to some specific examples from the real world.